why did they choose your brand? What held them back to try your new or other products? What are they satisfied with? And are they satisfied with the product that they received? They should start an AA test, and afterwards, uh, they should do some experiments and A/B testing.
Welcome to our podcast, Click to Buy. We're so happy to have you here. Can you please introduce yourself and what it is that you do?
Yeah, I feel like I'm at an interview, at the job interview. But yeah, of course. My name is Miklós Kova, and I'm from Hungary, Debrecen, the second largest city, and I'm the podcast host of Help My DTC Grow, and we are helping DTC brands to grow with agency advices, and it's backed up
Awesome.
by Optimonk.
And who should listen to your podcast?
D2C brands who wants to scale up, who wants to grow. They already have a six-figure revenue, but they want to grow to 7, 8, or 9 figures.
Excellent. Well, Miklos, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so happy to have you today. I love to start off our podcast with asking a couple of kind of hard-hitting, hot topic questions. There's no right or wrong answer, just your opinion. So we like to call it this or that. So I'll be asking for your hot takes on some common D2C tactics. So let's get started. For example, in your experience, would you recommend that if you could only choose just one, is it better for a brand to use on-site reviews or off-site reviews? So on-site reviews being like something you'd see like on a page versus an external type of review.
Yeah, at first, when they are starters, maybe they should use off-site reviews. For example, like sending a plain text email and ask their users, would you rate our product, 1 to 5 scale, or what was your experience about the product, and just give us a review. And after that, if we scale up, if we have enough traffic, maybe I will jump on the on-site reviews.
Gotcha. And in terms of, let's say, testimonials, this or that, if you could only pick one, video testimonials or written testimonials, and why?
Hmm. That's great. That's great. Maybe at first it would be great to have written testimonials, but after that, it could be good to have a video review or video testimonials on our site also. So maybe it, yeah, it has different strategy or tactic involved in text or video reviews. Um, Text reviews are great on the website and could enhance the credibility of the website, and video testimonials could be used on social media and in other parts of the website.
True. I guess it also, like you said, it depends on the strategy and the product. Perhaps for some products, it makes more sense to like visually kind of see something in
Yep.
action. That kind of leads me to my third and final this or that.
Mhm.
So when you have this kind of visual content, if you could only pick one, user-generated content or professional product photos.
Yeah, I wouldn't repeat the previous two question answer that before that and after that. I would definitely go with user generated content. It's almost a no-brainer. So if you have a mom or a friend, just grab a phone and do something about it. So user generated content.
What do you think is kind of like the best way brands can leverage user-generated content on their e-commerce sites?
Hmm, that's a good one. Maybe uh, they could they could set up a pop-up that is popping up after 30 seconds when they are on the site and on the product site on a different
Mhm.
and coming from a different uh, for example from social media or from other sites that are not that that those sites doesn't have any user
Mm,
generated content or video,
mhm.
and after that it just pop up with a video, and they could see uh, how how the product is work how the product works. Yeah.
I like that. It makes sense. Like after you've seen a little bit of intent, someone's staying on your page, then you kind of blast them with like that next like kind of proof point.
Yep.
Interesting. Well, I know on your podcast you also speak to a lot of D2C experts out there. So I wanted to ask you, What's the best advice you've ever received about increasing e-commerce store conversion?
The best and the simplest and the best and the most simple advice was that know your customer. It is the ultimate starting point of an e-commerce store conversion rate optimization. So if you don't know your customer, maybe you will provide unnecessary data for him, unnecessary information, or just confuse him. So before that, you could just easily get some feedback in a plain text email that I mentioned before. So
Hmm.
like, why did they choose your brand? What held them back to try your new or other products? What are they satisfied with? And are they satisfied with the product that they received? So these basic questions could help you know your customer more and provide strategies and tactics that are fit for their profile.
That's definitely really interesting. I think you make a good point, and great advice to anyone who's tuning into our podcast. If you don't know what your customer wants, I guess it's pretty difficult to try to get them to convert. Do you have
Yeah.
any other tactics you can recommend? I know you mentioned kind of these written tactics or email tactics. Are there any other strategies you've heard about or used or seen other brands have great success with when it comes to getting to know your customer a little bit better?
Yeah, it could be also an on-site pop-up that will
Hmm.
collect feedbacks from the customers. So it could be anything. Just call them, just reach out to them with some questions, and experiment in almost every 2 weeks with some questions. And after that, you will have some good answers. For example, like somebody sell like these cold plunge baths,
Hmm.
this Wim Hof method stuff. And for me, the only question that I would ask is, how much is the maintenance cost, and how often should I clean these kind of baths?
Mm.
And I never saw on any page that will say this information for me. For example, in Hungarian,
Hmm.
it isn't there. But if I give a feedback that I want to get the answer for this question, maybe you will just put it on your landing page, on your product page, and I won't be confused. I know the information that I want, and I will buy it. So a lot of reasons. One of the reasons that people don't convert or don't buy is that they have
Hmm.
doubts, they have questions, and you should ask these questions, and you will get the answer for it.
Excellent. I think that's a really interesting point that a lot of the work that you want to do for conversions is for people like you who are interested in a product, but they have maybe one or two doubts that's holding them back from
Yeah.
making that final purchase. So by getting to know the customers and making that kind of like your routine habit and what you do as a business, you can kind of level up your, hopefully your conversion rates.
Yes. Yes.
Uh,
Exactly.
kind of
Exactly.
kind of bouncing off that question, obviously, once you get to know your customers a little bit, you can make things a little bit more personal. So how does personalization relate to the customer journey?
It's in the question. Customers want personalized experiences. Like if you walk in an offline store, in a brick and mortar store, or a mom and pop's
Hmm.
shop, where they ask, how was your day, how's with the kids, something like that, that have a personal touch. And with personalization, you could do a lot of wrong things, like creep out the people, or if you are over personalized, maybe somebody doesn't have any toothache and you want to give them painkillers, but they don't want this. So watch out with personalization. But if you do it in a good way, it could be an integral part of the customer journey. It could involve tailoring your messaging and offers based on the individual's behavior, preferences, and needs at each stage of their journey. So you should
Mm.
that, research the stage of they are in their customer journey, and you will find personalization tactics that you need to apply to harness this.
Good one. Especially as you mentioned, you don't want it to feel too personal, too quick. I think we've all
Yep.
been there where suddenly something pops up like on our social media feed that we were just talking about, like 10 seconds ago. And maybe that feels like a little eerie, but if you know how to get the right information at the right time in front of someone, I think you have kind of like the golden bullet in terms of conversion.
Yep. Yep. I couldn't
And
agree more.
I know in terms of personalization and conversion in general, a lot of these tricks have a little bit of like a psychological background to them. So maybe you can share your knowledge on what psychological principles are helpful to know when it comes to understanding conversion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Um, Understanding these psychological principles like urgency, social
Hmm.
proof, reciprocity, and the decoy effect, or even fear of missing out, can significantly boost conversion rates. These principles can be effectively utilized in your marketing strategies, such as creating limited time offers or displaying customer reviews, also. So, it will give you the social proof if you have some reviews on your website that we talked about, the text or video reviews, and and if you have a lot of traffic, it's better to personalize also the email side. So after you understand your customers, you could start on the website, and you could capture their data and then send personalized email messages also for the customers.
Interesting. So of these different kind of principles that you mentioned, maybe we can dive deeper into one or two of them. For example, like what are different tactics you would suggest for like fear of missing out versus urgency? I know they're kind of two similar things, but maybe you have a
Hmm.
little nugget of wisdom there.
Hmm. Hmm. So, for example, a countdown timer that the
Hmm.
offer is just for a limited time could could also, I don't know, click in the fear of missing out and the urgency stuff
Hmm.
uh, parallel. But if you think about the urgency stuff, the booking example is the best, that they are showing how many people are looking at the same hotel room and how many rooms are
Mm.
left, and it's inspiring customers to book it quickly. But another one like fear of missing out, it's like we have a at Optimonk we have a Trojan horse method, which
Hmm.
involves asking for the customer's email address, and afterwards they could unlock a mystery discount if they give their SMS number also.
Mm.
So it's also scarcity and also fear of missing out. If they don't give their email, their SMS number, maybe they will uh, left something on the table.
Yeah, quite interesting. Also to make them feel kind of like they have this exclusive opportunity that they didn't perhaps expect from originally signing up.
Yes, yes, it's like that.
Yeah, well, you've given a couple great examples already, but are there any other brands that have inspired you with their conversion tactics? Maybe you have a couple memorable examples.
Mm-hmm. Uh, Opting Monk has a customer called Blanchett. Maybe the
Mhm.
listeners will know this.
Oh
And
yes, I have a bloodshed.
great, great, great. And they use scarcity, and it was created by a limited time offer that I also said it before. A pop-up displayed the customers uh, offered. So a pop-up was displayed, and the customers saw a limited time discount and a counting down for 15 minutes. This made the offer feel scarce and time sensitive, so encouraging customers to act quickly, or or it is a risk that they are missing out the deal. By implementing this principle, Blanchett was able to generate an impressive increase in its revenue.
Interesting. I definitely get what you mean that like you said, it kind of all comes back to the psychological principles we discussed, like this urgency, this fear that if I don't click now, it's
Yeah,
not going
click
to
now.
ever be able to go into my card.
Yeah, yeah, but don't overuse them because people are much more sensitive for
Yeah.
this today than before. But of
Hmm.
course, there will be, I don't know, 50% of people will always act irrationally, or more than 50, maybe maybe 100% of the people. So afterwards, we are just saying for ourselves that yeah, it was a
Hmm.
rational decision to buy two blend jet and not just one.
Maybe that's kind of a good question to dive a little bit deeper into. I think what you said was quite interesting. You have to be careful not to go like too heavy on these sorts of tactics. How can brands balance these tactics so it doesn't feel too like too many ads or too like in your face, but still pushing people towards the action you'd like them to take?
The first and foremost stuff is this email text stuff is coming back again.
Hmm.
So if you send these questions out in the email in plain text for your best customers and
Hmm.
watch for these answers, you will get all the information you need for content for your website. So for on your website, you could use those terms and expressions that your customers use. So it won't be as edgy or as fabricated than than before. So you could experiment with these little stuffs that you have. Just use the expressions that your customers use, and it won't be fabricated. Yeah,
Yeah, like you said, it all goes back to knowing your customer.
yeah. It all goes back to this first
And do
part,
you
the
have
zero part of the customer journey.
Yeah, it all starts there. When you're thinking about conversion, and maybe this will also apply to people you've had on your own podcast, do you have any tools that you can recommend that people can use to improve their conversion for, let's say, any part of the customer journey?
Yeah, before I mentioned some tools, it would be the mindset that you have to experiment
Hmm.
relentlessly, for example, in any 2 weeks with some little stuffs on your website. And it will be uh, a habit for you. And afterwards, you could choose the best tool for this habit. So, for example, Optimonk is a great tool for list building, segmenting, personalization, and so on and so on. But I'm not here to promote Optimonk, so I will mention some other stuff. So, for example, like A/B testing, Optimonk could also do A/B testing, but a free stuff that could do A/B testing is Microsoft Clarity. You could use it on your own, and and you could learn it. Lots of YouTube material are out there, and also Google Analytics, Triple Whale could be good to analyze your data and see what's working and what's not. And also
Hmm.
Hotjar is a good one to heat maps.
Interesting. So I'll definitely have to link those in the show notes.
Hmm.
A couple of our other guests have mentioned the idea of using AI to help with conversion. I'm curious, do you have any thoughts on this? Do you have any tools that you can
Yeah.
recommend, or are you warning against it? Curious for your opinion.
Yeah, almost everything is about AI and ChatGPT today, but
Hmm.
I would say that AI could do the stuff that humans could do it in a much longer time. So
Mm.
AI is not resting, he's not sleeping. So it could test out different headlines, different text messages, different messages on your website when you are sleeping. So we also have some features like it's called smart A/B testing, which also you are the 0 point of of the ID generation of the experiments. What do you want to A/B test? And and the smart A/B tester uh, will do it on their own to test headlines, different IDs. So So it could help you to lay back and just harvest the results.
Yeah, really
Yeah,
interesting how you kind of
it sounds really easy, but yeah, uh, it's not that easy.
I'm sure, as you said, like it's kind of like all the rage right now. So maybe since we're kind of on the beginnings of these things, they might become more easy. I like what you said of how like you kind of have to come up with the premise and then the machine kind of runs with it. I think a lot of what I've heard from the other people we've interviewed have had kind of the same things at the moment. So I'll be very intrigued in even a couple months to hear if there's any new tools that have popped into this space, or maybe new features in existing tools that will help to leverage the power of AI in this space.
Hmm. Yeah, well, we are experimenting with AI,
Mm-hmm,
and it helps us to personalize landing pages and website and also pop-ups. So,
mm-hmm,
for example, if you are searching for from Hungary, you will get a country-specific pop-up, which is
mm-hmm,
included your country of origin. So you would be sure that they are shipping to your country, and maybe you have some discount codes based on the country also. Um, yeah, so basically it's our beta feature now at Optimong,
mm-hmm,
but it will be good for brainstorming new variants of text
mm-hmm,
messages, or set up those variants and run the tests and evaluate the results, and
mm-hmm,
afterwards it could make a decision, because it's also a mathematical
mm-hmm.
decision. So if it has the probability of so you could decide which version is the winner, and stop the loser variant and restart the test and repeat this cycle. Yeah.
Gotcha. Nice. Well, thanks for sharing your kind of insight there on the future of AI.
Yeah.
And maybe a more general question. What do you think most businesses get wrong when it comes to improving their customer journey?
Hmm. First and foremost, they have to set up everything correctly. So
Okay.
that's the base where they could grow, and they should start an AA test, and afterwards uh, they should do some experiments and A/B testing. But of course, as you mentioned before, that they have to give the right message, the right time for the right people. And this requires some research, it collecting feedbacks and other stuff that we are talking about. But for example, if you believe that from a landing page, they will navigate to your product page, I have to say that it's not every time the case. So they
Mm-hmm,
either could land on your product page, and also if they are not getting the right message, or you start explaining the product page, if they have already something in their mind, you will be surprised. Not everybody is an expert on your own product. Just do a mom
mm-hmm.
test on it, or ask a drunk friend if they understand what the product is about, and your product page will be good, and your landing page will be also improved. Other than that, you need to modify until it will be understandable to everybody.
It's a really good point, especially I love how you say like run the mom test or the
Yeah.
drunk friend test. Indeed, like you need to make sure your message is simple, your message is clear. And you also pointed out a really common problem is how do you get people to go from that landing page to your product page where hopefully they'll
Mm.
convert? Do you have any tips on how brands, maybe DTC brands, can optimize their homepage to hopefully bring people where you would like them to go?
Mm. Yeah, I'm afraid I have to say I don't know any tactics about that.
That's all right.
Yeah,
We've spoken about many other tactics
yeah.
out there. But I think like it's a really good point, like what you said about testing your pages for like the AA test and the mom test and whatnot. Um, where do you go when you're kind of looking for inspiration on these sorts of tactics to improve the customer journey? Like, do you have any resources we can shout out or share here as well?
Yeah, Optimum has a tactic library about that.
Perfect. Okay.
Uh, but other than I'm a podcaster, and I listen to some of the podcasts and follow some influencers
Hmm.
on LinkedIn, like Adam Kitchen or Louis Camp or or Christopher Hopp or Fia Keel, I would recommend to follow these guys on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has a really good source of knowledge.
Nice. Thanks for the shout out. And I actually have a question for you from a previous guest. So I love to end our podcast by bringing a question from a previous guest, and then you'll have a question, you'll have the chance to ask a question to the next guest.
Great.
So a previous guest of ours would like to know, what is something when it comes to conversion that you wouldn't expect to work, but does work? Like, what's something that's kind of counterintuitive when it comes to conversion tactics?
That's a good one. That's a good one. Lucky Wheel.
Yeah.
Or yeah, it always works. Almost always works on desktop, but everybody's tired of it. It could work. Yeah. Or using some psychological stuff in your on-site messages. So, for example, if you have a boring pop-up, it will just give you, I don't know, 3% of the conversion rate. But if you make a temporary offer or some random mystery campaign, it could climb up to 20% in conversion rates. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Well, I'll definitely pass that advice along to our guest who asked you that question. And now you have a chance for our last question here. What is the question you'd like our next guest to answer? Can be anything in the realm of conversion, high level, low level. The floor is yours.
Yeah. My question would be like how to research my audience to make the best landing page ever.
Okay,
So it
I
comes
like it.
back to know your customer.
Know your customer. So how can you research your customer to make the best landing page ever?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll get back to you with a response. Miklós,
Great.
thank you. It was such a pleasure to have you on the show today.
You're welcome, Becca.
We're so happy to have you, and thanks again for listening to another episode of Click to Buy.